Let me tell you a story. The Chronicles of the Dark Age of Pandora. Years when empires bled, stars burned, and gods forgotten and mechanical stirred once more. From my royal archives lie the tales of 15 worlds and stations. As visionaries, warriors, exiles, and outcasts reached beyond fear into greatness or folly. Soldiers and spies, lovers and spectacle. They thought they had mastered the ancient alien technologies, but the relics of the predecessors were never meant for mortal hands. They whispered to those who touched them, promised dominion, offered transcendence, and opened doors best left sealed. In my royal archives lie the memories of 15 worlds and stations, 15 places that changed the fate of the universe. From those doors came the demon entities, thought forms of the dead universe, feeding on fear, shaping minds, twisting light into nightmare. They came not to destroy. These are the tales I keep, of heroes and heretics, of cyborg saints and broken gods, of the love that spanned galaxies. In this dark age, every soul must choose to rise beyond what it means to be human, or to vanish into the long shadow of Pandora. In the volcanic seas of Kuldras, a psychic is born.
Wormhole Riders.
All the stars in a jewel box. Not the fountains and holograms of the palace and its parapets. No, not them. Not the staid royal guard with pomp and ceremony deftly done. Nay, not the silks and cashmere hauled through hyperspace by stalwart brave star-trading guildsmen. No, these are not my treasures. Not elegant floating divans crafted in the minds of brilliant architects and engineers. Nay, these are not the treasures as princess of the realm I value most. Nay, but the library and art gallery, there is my greatest treasure. Histories upon histories, all the songs of divas tragic and triumphant, the orchestras of countless kingdoms, the fire-lit bongos of hardscrabble settlers in steaming jungles, their ships still warm from the hyperstreams, the gallant calls of doomed officers singing their final charge on lonely, strange last stands, the collected tales connecting all of humanity across time, their moments of dash and beauty, and even their ignominious wretchedness when all was lost, and stand they still did. These are my treasures. I never crossed the threshold of the palace library without a moment's pause to wonder, what soul shall share their insights and brave fortitude against the fading of their light with me that day? Creature comforts and possession? They are but a room at the inn, at best, then gone with the fading of the light. Our stories as such, all that remains for us to forever whisper in the ears of our posterity, shine, delight, and rise, you are what you do this day. Let me tell you a story. History does not announce its turning points. It leaves them scattered, half buried, waiting for someone reckless or desperate enough to dig. For generations, historians across the star systems have argued about what caused the war. No one has ever agreed. I've walked the ruins myself. On several expeditions, I traveled into the old war zones, places erased from maps, where shattered cities still lie silent beneath the stars. Standing among the broken towers of the great starport at New Galen, I finally understood the emptiness Ecclesiastes once spoke of. The scale of it, the lives, the civilizations, the meaning we struggle so hard to build. Einstein once said time is a continuum, that the past never truly disappears. Perhaps that is why these places still feel inhabited. Philosophers and priest kings have wrestled with these questions for ages, searching for meaning in the long darkness of history. I didn't have any answers. So I told my droid to play Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, as loud as it could, straight into the ruins. Music returned to that devastated place, a small rebellion against the silence, against the weight of fate itself. And for a moment, standing there in the wind, I imagined the ghosts of New Galen dancing. Maybe they really did.
Deployed the forces immediately.
You have seen the war, but wars do not begin with explosions. They begin with ideas.
Let me tell you a story. Pandora opened her box, and then all evils were loosed upon the galaxy. It was one of 100 bustling boom worlds, Deneb 4, that would come to define the age. A dashing young scientist, Lourdes Charlotte Cassandra, appears on the galactic stage, as if at the weightless moment of an apogee. From our distant perspective, the transfer of power from the Sol system to the Deneb system, and the conflicts of that era, seem predestined. Yet, for those existing in the 25th century, the turmoil, abrupt changes, and progressions between the star systems likely felt like a chaotic cosmic game of billiards. Princess Clarissa Maggio, Caldris, Deneb 4, Empire of Light and Darkness. Lourdes Charlotte Cassandra gazed at the construction rigs from her air taxi, hovering over the bustling pink town with a mix of curiosity and disdain, en route to the Medical Research Center. Summoned by a secretive government research agency, she departed just as the last of Deneb's overpowering daylight waned. Bring on the night.
Dr. Cassandra, thank you for coming. Right this way.
Thank you, Dr. Scarlotta. So very kind of you to greet me personally.
Well, buried in my work as I am, it's a welcome break to be reminded there is a world still out there. Oh yes, I'm sorry. They come with the territory. Some of the research we're doing here has been deemed less than popular by certain activist groups. No worries, Miss Cassandra. You'll receive no harm from them. They take fire before failing by their duty. Rest assured they will protect us.
Protect us from whom exactly?
The Luddites and Philistines. My research here has not always been warmly received. There have been threats.
What am I getting myself into here? Will they come after me at my home? Should I join the research team here?
They're wingnuts from various worlds who spend too much time on hypercasts, berating technology, all the while living off it. They scream for humanity's demise and say we are a scourge on the pristine universe.
Doctor, the rumor is you're creating a better AI, one that goes beyond a Turing test and is truly sentient. You want to cheat death?
Yes, cheating death. Something of an obsession of mine for some time now.
This kind of research has been going on for centuries, with really no way to prove if the AI is self-aware or not.
Oh, my young neurologist. I can assure you I'm quite unaware. Because I'm dead.
You're a hologram.
Wait. Indulge me. The program is quite capable of carrying on as well as I would if I were alive. I anticipated that I may have expired before the objective was met. Anticipated our latest developments wouldn't allow for my actual sentience to survive before you arrived. We are quite on the proper path. You see, it is not our research on the transhuman system housing I wish you to work on. It is this.
This is alien technology. These particular predecessors, Doctor. How long before us in time?
Millions of years. Many millions of years. 65 million, we estimate. Strangely, the same time as the extinction of Earth's dinosaurs. Well, we believe it could interface with the organisms that created it, as well as function without them, such that it may have been sentient itself. If that is the case, then all this facility may have finally found a solution to the sentience issue. Genuine transhumanism may finally be possible.
So, if it was once sentient, how do you know it wasn't these machines that killed off the creators that made it?
Well, we don't. That's what the radicals are upset about. And why we've had to heighten security. Some feel we are creating a monster. Summoning the demon. Yet, if ignorant both of your enemy and yourself, you are certain to be in peril.
Well, I'm sure there is nothing I can help you discover from this fragment of the predecessor being's technology that you couldn't discover with all this facility at your disposal. I must decline the offer to work on this with you, Doctor. I have a career plan. Thank you, but no thank you.
That is true, Dr. Cassandra, but it is not the fragment which we wish you to examine. We discovered an intact base of these predecessor beings. We want you to go to the center of the galaxy to an intact alien base.
But of course, when shall we begin?
We already have begun, my dear neurologist. I'll be escorting you from here on out. A younger version of me. Skeletor 2X. As I was in the Mercury Wars.
Lourdes found herself strangely amused at the AI then. It seemed almost to have a sense of humor, and an uncanny sense of what a living person would want to see next. Firstly, the grandfatherly scientist to calm her about the scientific assignment. Next, a stalwart tin soldier to guide her along her journey among the stars. Let me tell you a story. As humankind spread out from the solar system and into the Orion galactic spiral arm of the Milky Way, the Great Silk Road of old occurred in a new form, in a myriad of paths traced not by feet and wheels, but by the starships. Lumbering and slow, they bent space at first crudely and painfully time-consuming by contemporary standards. Colony ships, then trade ships, full of various rare ores and even rarer pieces of other worlds. The starways crowded as the legendary Silk Road with interstellar trade. The main Orion flight paths pushed centrally along the Orion arm, and also other paths pushed inward toward the Sagittarius galactic spiral arm and the central galactic region. Where the two great conglomerations of flight paths merged sat Ophelia System and Ophelia's World. Rivaling Deneb 4 in sheer economic juggernaut, Ophelia's World quickly evolved certain pomp and Baroque flourish. The aristocracy there, keenly aware that they represented the largest aggregation of human endeavor at the far end of space, they made an extra effort that their cities and developing industries were ever more covered with a patina of artful ornamentation. A 150-story tower housing state-of-the-art computing and manufacturing center would be clothed in the architectural embellishments of applied ornamental sculptures, and alighting from deep space, a traveler might be greeted by angels in the architecture. Lourdes' ship, the Colossus, was a brilliant Sunrider 2400 gunboat, the pride of the Deneb 4 Space Navy. It was greeted at the system's outskirts with a formal fireworks salute and several dignitaries. The good Dr. Scalata back at Deneb 4 had made Lourdes director of the Institute. Princess Clarissa Maggio, Caldress, Ophelia's World, gilded oasis of the galactic starways.
And by the moon the reaper weary, piling sheaves in uplands airy. Listening whispers, 'tis the fairy lady of Charlotte. She knows not what the curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily. And little other care hath she, the Lady of Shalott.
As a rule, Lance Perusha didn't care about the politics of his marks. He was a professional, and his work was to take them out of this world. The rationale behind his client's desired kills interested him not at all. Something about this target bothered him, however. She was apolitical, a research scientist in medicine, and there was something dirty in the notion of killing her that he quite simply couldn't shake this time. Watching the massive Sunrider make its way down to the luxurious hotels along the shore, he reviewed his info on her, again and again, looking for something she had done that could justify taking her out. There wasn't anything. She had recently been appointed Director of Innocuous Research on Artificial Intelligence and Human-Computer Interfaces. His clients saw all artificial intelligence as a threat. He did not.
Footsteps fade in the empty hall. Shadows creep where the lights won't fall.
Congratulations on your promotion to Director. I'll escort you when you are ready, madam, to the Welcome Committee. Great days indeed.
Choice waits like a loaded quail. Yes. Cold steel whispers to the fire. One step closer.
Really? We are among friends?
Eyes like static scan the dark.
Friends are like the jaws and teeth of a beautiful pet. If you are not careful, you will find them chewing you up.
Time slows, but the weight won't shift. The air breaks as the silence cracks. A split second.
The crowd is watching us.
There's no way back. Fate hangs thin on a razor wire. Cold steel whispers to the fire. One step closer, one breath high. Shadows creep where the fate hangs thin on a razor.
A grand welcome then. Good to go. A far cry from laboratories and such.
On a frozen night.
Let me tell you a story. As Lance Perusha watched quietly and grimly about to perform his evil deed, something reflected from one of the other hotels, and Lance's instinct quickly steeled him back from the window. He peered slowly as the source of the reflection's movement and increased magnification. Closer, closer, closer his vision moved to that source, and wonder upon insidious wonder, there was another sniper. It was the second bomb scenario. Either a less expensive backup, in case he missed and bungled the job, or merely some slob to fire wildly at the dignitaries and crowd to mask the importance of the real target. The other sniper was careless, truly reflective surfaces among one's equipment. In a lifetime of random violence, neglect, and abuse since his birth, Lance had never backed away from a fight. This was the first time he was taking the life of someone truly innocent, someone who'd done nothing wrong. And it felt dirty, you know? Even with his hardened heart, shaped by violence, by the chaos of the frontier, this felt ugly, wrong. There was a sickness to it he just couldn't shake. And he knew it couldn't be that clumsy second shooter handling it, messing around with reflective surfaces like an amateur. No, a man's gotta have standards. Well, that thought violated his codes. So Lance took him out and walked away from the job. Of course, he was then a dead man walking, but not that day. When Lance chose not to kill Lourdes, he believed he was showing mercy. He did not realize he had just altered the fate of civilizations. Lourdes survived, and with her survival, a chain of events began that no one in the Arcturian worlds could have foreseen. She traveled beyond the settled systems, into the ancient regions near the galactic core, a place older than any human empire. There she discovered something our historians still struggle to explain: an abandoned installation, built by a civilization that vanished long before humanity ever reached the stars. At her side was Tutu, the officer who had been assigned to her long before this journey began. Somewhere along the long corridors of empire and war, they had fallen in love. For a brief moment in the long history of the galaxy, they found something rare even among the stars: love. But the galaxy does not grant such gifts without consequence. Our records tell us Tutu died there, murdered by a traitor. And in the silence that followed his death, Lourdes would make a choice that would change the destiny of worlds. She sat upon the ancient alien seat which they knew was dangerous, and she was transformed. She completed her mission as the elder Dr. Scalata had sent her, to true human transhumanism. And when she did, the war that would reshape the Pandoran Age truly began. It would take centuries for the cyborg empire to convince itself that peace was permanent. Later generations would name the era the Deneb Pax, as if giving it a title could make it true. Order expanded, borders stabilized, power learned how to rest without loosening its grip. The peace had an architect, Lourdes Cassandra. One will, patient and relentless, guiding humanity forward under the promise that control was safety and unity was survival. Under that design, Deneb 4 grew. But peace does not end because of madness alone. Its first true fracture did not come from raiders or tyrants, or the half-formed ambitions of broken men. It came from refusal, from the Arcturian colonials who turned away from Deneb and moved outward along the Sagittarius Arm, building dense, disciplined systems beyond the reach of imperial oversight. They did not reject order, they rejected submission. The Arcturian colonials defined their era more clearly than any society that had come before them. They believed in optimism as a discipline, technology as a moral force, and unrestricted freedom of action and trade as a civic virtue. These were not abstractions to them. They were visible, written into their cities, which rose instead of sprawled, into their economies, which accelerated rather than stagnated, into their daily lives, where freedom was assumed, not negotiated. They achieved this without the suffocating totality of imperial governance and its transhuman overlords, without the endless internal wars of the oligarchies and kingdoms, without the ecstatic brutality of the marauder cult at the galactic core. In a galaxy accustomed to domination or collapse, they represented a third path: prosperity without surrender, order without chains. In retrospect, their achievements have taken on the texture of myth. Their markets moved capital at scales later civilizations would struggle to comprehend. Their logistics anticipated needs before they were articulated. Their infrastructure scaled not through coercion, but through trust, an assumption that rational actors given freedom would choose cooperation over ruin. It is easy now to forget that they were mortal, that they were fragile, that they lived one generation at a time, just as we do. Looking out across the galaxy as it exists today, fragmented, frightened, ruled by systems that no longer pretend to serve the people within them, it is tempting to ask how such a civilization could simply vanish, how the brightest experiment humanity ever conducted could end not in failure, but in annihilation. Once again, it is the Arcturian colonials who step forward on the galactic stage, not as conquerors, not as tyrants, but as the guardians of the peace. but as the unanswered question history never resolved. Princess Clarissa Maggio. The Arcturian Colonials, materialists of the abstract.
There are moments in history when a civilization appears most at peace, just before it begins to forget. What made it worth preserving? But history does not announce itself. It begins like this.
Not because it has conquered its struggles, but because it has forgotten them. A choice, a journey, a single departure that no one remembers until it is far too late. They believed they were leaving one ordinary morning behind them, a polished concourse, a boarding call, the quiet obedience of departure. But history had already entered the room, and it was waiting for them at the threshold. Let me tell you a story. Morning dawned lazy, gray, and rainy at the starport as Dylan tossed himself into a window seat and ran sleepy fingers through his hair.